Hey everybody, keeping with the theme of excellent mobility coupled with superb gunnery, we have the FV215B, the Heavy. Now this thing's getting replaced by the Chieftan Mark II at some point in the future. I'm not entirely sure when, but I'm going to miss this thing when it goes. It's not that popular with a lot of people. It does have a frontal engine which can be fire prone. Its rear turret can make it a little odd to play, especially when it doesn't really have the armor to side scrape like a 4502B does. But it is just a fantastically well-rounded gun platform of a Heavy. Now, although its turret is identical in appearance to the Conqueror's turret, there's an important distinction, and this is part of the reason it's getting removed. Wargaming made this tank up completely using the chassis from the FV215B tank destroyer and the turret of the Conqueror. Because it's a tier 10, they decided it needed more turret armor than the Conqueror has, so they arbitrarily, I think, like doubled its turret armor or something without actually changing the visual model. This, for obvious reasons, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and so this thing is going the way of the Dodo at some point. This tank has passable front armor. The hull isn't too bad. It's not very thick, but it's pretty well angled, and I'm sorry about this replay being so jittery. It just doesn't want to run smoothly. The turret armor is actually pretty good, and this is the main selling point of this tank. That gun, it's actually hard to miss. The kinds of shots you can pull off with this thing while moving at full speed are incredible. It's more accurate while moving than a lot of tanks are stationary. It is absolutely fantastic as a mobile support platform. Now, it's not as good of an assault tank as the IS-7. Obviously, your hull gives you issues, your awkward layout can be a problem, but it does bounce things every now and then, and so it's not bad for pushing on people. But the main sort of role that this tank seems to stand out in is being sort of like a second line, or like a 1.5 line support gun. You know, you press on with the assault tanks and sort of the IS-7's getting close where the guns are actually effective while you fire over the tops of them, or between them, towards whatever they're actually attacking. They take the hits, you do the damage. And so you can see me hanging back a little here, letting some of the other tanks get in a bit closer, although the T-57's not exactly well armoured either. And then when I see my opportunity here, using the terrain to get in close to these tank destroyers, I take it. Now that wasn't a well-aimed shot, but that was my fault, not the guns. I aimed more or less directly at the 183's gun mantlet because I was kind of panicking, didn't want to get shot by it. Now this T-30 is in a really strong position. He's actually hull down. Now, there are two T-30s there. The one we just saw and another further over towards the enemy cap. There's also the 183 behind the hill and a JPE behind that, and a 704 in there as well. It's just a clusterfuck of tank destroyers. The only one not there on the enemy team is the T-110E3. The 183 fucks up his Hess shell. It only does 520 damage, which is not a lot. It's less than a max roll out of an E-75's gun, and so I'm not really deterred, and I push on. Errance puts in the finishing shot, and the enemy T-30 manages to miss me. That's a death sentence. The second T-30 bounces off me. I'll deal with him shortly. Now the enemy RD is in my case, and it is a Conch GC, which is not a pleasant thing to get hit by. Thankfully, it's only a near miss, although it does a huge amount of damage. The cupola shot there was well aimed, it was just a bad angle. Really, I shouldn't have taken that shot, but this thing reloads so quickly, comparatively speaking, it doesn't really matter. Cupola snipe, or rather mini turret snipe on the JPE, without even trying. He shows his side, somebody else lights him on fire, he's done. Always carry fire extinguishers. Next, it's the T-30's turn. He takes a panic shot as I'm cresting the hill, hits the hill instead of me. That's him done. His death warrant signed. The Conch behind me cleans him up. The Conch has more or less the same excellent gun handling, and in fact the same gun as this thing, just not the armor. I finished the 704. The Conk GC really wants me dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he was using XVM, or, you know, he may have just been shooting the first tier 10 he saw coming towards him. Either way, I'm his primary target, and I'm lucky to have survived 2 near misses. Keeping an eye on the enemy 215B, who appears to be distracted by our Leopard, I then push in towards E3. Now, he's not even looking, he's got his side turned to us. I'm hoping he'll back up just enough to overhang that building again, and sure enough, there it is. Snapshot, well, not really a snapshot, but on the move, while still not quite fully aimed, goes straight through. That one bounced because he was turning. I was worried he was going to shoot at me, but it's pretty obvious his gun's pointed at the guy to my right. And sure enough, he shoots at, I think, the Conqueror rather than me. I finish him with a shot through the lower plate there. While moving, again, E3 lower plate's not exactly easy to hit even at close range while stationary. And although I thought I was dead for sure here, turns out the Conk GC didn't have a shot up, and so I'm able to finish him. Last thing left to finish off is the enemy 215B. But my second shot flies just a little high and bounces. With 5 kills and nearly 4,500 damage, this is a typical 215B game. You can pretty much cruise around the map, punching through things at will. Weak spots that a lot of tanks would have trouble with even at close range, you can hit on the move in this thing quite adequately. It's just an excellent tank. I really enjoy it, and I'm going to be really sad to see it go. I don't know why it's not more popular. I guess people just don't like rear turret tanks. And, you know, a lot of people don't like heavy tanks that don't have armor. For example, the IS-8 isn't very popular with pubbies, even though it's probably one of the better tier 9s in the game. But this thing, I really think it deserves some more attention, because it just really is a good, fun tank to play in pub matches. And I think if it's used well in Clan Wars, it can do quite a bit as well. I think Misadorum actually took his along to a couple of Clan Wars matches and surprised everyone because he was able to clean up with it. And that's really what this tank excels at, is cleaning up. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching. I wish you the best of luck in the field, and I'll see you on the next one.